Khan, Gordy Barris, Stephen Rabinowitz, our Haftorah reader, Tony Corman, our floor captain, Kevin Whalen, our Gavai, Gordy Barris, and Stephen Rabinowitz. Stephen Rabinowitz also, we'll just keep going here, did Psukkah de Zimra and Birchot HaShachar. Our digital Gavais, Mark Bettman and Hannah Carroll. Thank you. A brief word. We just celebrated Purim. One of my favorite holidays, if not my favorite. It's wonderful. But I think that we need to recognize something from Purim. We don't actually understand the evil that transpires in the book of Esther. I mentioned this briefly last year in a sermon, but read in a very specific lens, it becomes very clear that the evil person, yes, is Haman, but even more so is Mordechai. Even more so is Mordechai. Mordechai sets up a situation for his own power climb. And what does he do? He takes his niece, who he adopted when her parents died, and sells her, forces her into sexual servitude for his climb to power. In the end of the book, in the 10th chapter, we read how Mordechai, robed in splendor and grandeur, using the same words of the king. And it says nothing about Esther. When King Ahasuerus, after his drunken stupor, realizes that he exiled his queen because she wouldn't dance naked before him, he falls into a depression. Poor Ahasuerus. And one of his advisors says, "Let your majesty appoint officers in every province of your realm to take by force all the beautiful young virgins and bring them to the capital Shushan, to be tried out into the king's harem, and let the maiden who pleases your majesty be queen instead of Vashti." What is this? It is, plain and simple, human trafficking. Plain and simple. My friends, human trafficking we think of is in inner cities. We think of it as big cities. About 9 months ago, I remember reading an article about a new drug that they could secretly stab into the leg of a young woman at 12 Oaks Mall. She would walk out with them, and that was the end. It's not something that is relegated to the annals of history, and it's not something that's relegated to other towns, but it's right here. It's in our backyard. And so today I'm going to ask Michelle Siegel, one of the co-presidents of Sisterhood, to introduce our speaker today.
Shabbat Shalom. This month, in partnership with the Social Action Committee, our sisterhood is partnering also with Sanctum House to help support victims of human trafficking. And I want to thank Bonnie Kowalski and Marla Khan and Michelle Seid for all the work they've done, along with Steve Fine, in bringing this program to light. In a moment, I'm going to introduce Edee, but I wanted to just take a minute, and I'm sure she'll talk more, to let you know that Sanctum House opened in 2018 as a sanctuary for victims of human trafficking, providing comprehensive trauma-informed care, including mental and physical health service. job skills training, education, counseling, legal aid, and an array of individualized services in Metro Detroit, and it has already served over 90 women. Edee, our guest today, is one of the founders of Sanctum House. She's a lifelong Detroiter, successful businesswoman who is focused on community and using her skills and passions to deliver results to its residents. She believes in hard work and positive growth. She has been a real estate agent for many years, and as well as an educator and entrepreneur, and a lifelong Detroiter and a graduate of Wayne State. And she, in 2013, expanded her commitment to creating a home environment beyond her real estate clients, but to create a safe home for women who are survivors of human trafficking. And so it is now my pleasure to welcome Edee up to the bema to talk more about Sanctum House and how our synagogue can help.
Let's get myself all situated. First, I want to be, I get really, okay, this is my heart. But before I do anything, I am so grateful to the synagogue for doing what you're doing for the month of March to help do the mitzvah. Pardon? This? Help? Better? Nobody ever says I talk too quietly. So this is a first. So let me get going here, and then it'll all change. But I just wanted to say thank you to Michelle, to Bonnie, who's like on the phone. I mean, like we know each other in the ether somewhere. We're always, chasing one another to speak. But I'm so grateful for all that you're doing, and for the mitzvah project to purchase items that we need for our home, and for the women to help them continue to grow and follow in the path of what Sanctum House is supposed to do. I'm going to talk about Sanctum House in a way. You can read about Sanctum House. I can tell you all the things that we do and that we have done since, and it'll come out in the story. But I think what's really most important is to recognize that it isn't just the women, it's the community. If we don't come together as a community to help people, it's not going to happen. So I wanted to kind of bring together Purim and Passover and things that have been going on, and how the rabbi just spoke. And I know from the past, in my past experience in experiencing anti-Semitism as a child, when we lived in Florida every summer and in the winter, there were hotels where Jews were not allowed. And I remember as a child seeing the song, I think it was the very last sign that was down in Detroit by the DIA, the No Dogs and the No Jews sign that was left there before it was removed. And then, when I was 12 years old, we moved from Detroit, from, the Woodward, Kentucky, Roselawn kind of area, Bagley area. We moved to Huntington Woods. And I was one of two Jews in the school. And I remember sitting in a classroom, and the girl next to me said, "Can I touch you? I've never seen a Jew before." And it started to flare up in me, and I thought, oh, are my horns showing? I had heard that expression, I guess, at some point in my life. And so I let her touch me, I guess. But it was the incidents like that made me realize that there are underdogs in this world. There are people that need our help and us to do it. And I then became somebody who caused me to be for the underdog and those people who suffer. I was never a really religious Jew. I went to Sunday school for a period of time. However, I come from a family, my mother had an extremely strong connection with God. We did have a Christmas tree every Christmas because it was pretty. And yet my identification with being a Jew has been strong. I love being Jewish. It makes me feel good, it makes me feel proud, and it actually makes me feel very, very powerful. Going back to the stories, I remember Queen Esther. I think I once wanted to be her in Sunday school, or I thought that was like going to be a good person for me to follow. I learned at that time that we are a people that survived and that we believed in justice and truth and freedom and the dignity of all people. And I like this. And my mother always told me, she said, Edie, don't you ever take a back seat to anyone. You don't ever have to take a back seat to anyone. And so I listened. And then I think about Passover and the freeing of the Israelites in Egypt and the Exodus. And yet it is about being free to choosing the meaningful and spiritual belief and finding self-fulfillment, even in today's enslaved world. Because today, people are enslaved everywhere. The past and the future are colliding. Modern day slavery exists. It exists in every zip code, in every community, in every city, in the entire world. We just have a new term for it. We call it human trafficking. 28 million people are caught up in human trafficking. Sometimes I show a video, but in the video you'll see there's different types of human trafficking. There's labor trafficking, there's domestic servitude, there's child soldiers, there's child brides, there's the selling of organ selling. It goes on, and we close our eyes because it's such an ugly, hideous topic that we don't want to believe that we can be the way we are as human beings to other people. Currently, human trafficking is a $150 billion a year industry. It vies for drugs, guns, and selling of people. If you can believe it, you can buy a slave today for $90. And buying that slave for $90, you can have them do whatever you want them to do. You can ask them to dance naked, and they have to do it because of fear. Fear. They are so ingrained and brainwashed in fear that they have no way to take care of themselves unless you are the person taking care of them. Human trafficking is such a big industry and fueled by greed that drug traffickers are now selling people instead of drugs. Why, you say? Because you can sell a pound of heroin or a pound of cocaine one time, but you can sell a person over and over and over and over again until you use them up. So you want to know how I got in? People want to know, what made you get interested in doing this? Why did you start this? I have a master's degree in education. I was a special education teacher. I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. When I was in junior high, I did a paper on white slavery. I was a heroin addict for 10 years. I'm now 35 years in recovery. I was facing 20 years in prison. Every year I do something. I go out and I do something to help myself become a better person so that I can talk to other people and help them become better people. I do something. In 2012, I was doing the Landmark Forum and the Self-Expression Leadership Training Program, and I had to find something that was missing in our community, and I had to fill that goal. And I looked around, and all I was hearing were talking heads. Oh, human trafficking, this is happening, that's happening, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't seeing anything that went on. So I started to become knowledgeable. And I had human trafficking conversations, and I joined groups and went to conferences, and I listened to speakers, and I became aware of what was happening to men, boys, girls, children, the LGBTQ community, that it doesn't matter where it is. I started to learn that there was really not a lot being done. There were less than 300 beds in the entire country that housed human trafficked victims. Less than 300 in the country. We had less than 30 beds in the state of Michigan to take people from servitude and heinous treatment to help them heal. So I thought, well, that's not enough. So I went on a mission. With 30 million slaves around the world, we could help save some of them. So Polaris right now said they just got a call. They had 10,359 reported situations and over 16,000 people that said, I am being trafficked. There are no real statistics about human trafficking. Nobody raises their hand and says, I'm a victim. Many of our women, they don't even know that they're a victim. There are so many. I hear you say, somebody sticks a pin in somebody's leg at the mall. Human trafficking is thought of as a violent crime. It is not a violent crime. People are not stalking people at Target, waiting to go and snatch and kidnap somebody. There's too many cameras. You're visible. You're not going to do things that are visible. Human trafficking is a familial crime. It's either a girlfriend, it's a boyfriend, it's a mother, it's a father, it's a sister, it's somebody that they know, a young man who starts to groom you and make you think that he loves. Love is a very, very powerful tool for taking over somebody else's life. Tell me you love me, and I might just do anything for you. I might sell my body to pay for the utilities. I might go to sleep with every single one of your fraternity brothers for fun and games. I will do whatever you want me to do. Just love me and give me shelter. Their brains are completely twisted. Part of the problem is that these same women that get arrested for prostitution, because they're victims, they're really not criminals, are afraid of the police. They don't want to report what's happening. We have a gal that's at the house. She was getting ready. She's all ready to prosecute. She backed out. She got scared. It's traumatizing. There's making laws now where you have to sit in the same room with the guy that was traumatizing you and your trafficker and point a finger at him. You still aren't over any of your trauma. So now that they can be in separate rooms, we have to really work on, part of all of this isn't just healing one person, it's legislation, changing the laws. So what happens to these traffickers? Nobody prosecutes them, or very few, so they end up going to jail for pandering, for tax evasion. The victims are scared, and they're scared, so we have to learn how to treat our victims as victims and not as criminals. What I found was that there were no long-term facilities in Michigan to do what we do. So what happened is I decided, and I got a following, thank God, I gave these people a voice. I have always been a woman at risk. I was alcoholic in a young age in junior high. I was a heroin addict in my 30s. I was a drug dealer. I did all these crazy kinds of things, but in my soul, I was always about justice, and I was always about what needed to be done that was right. And how could I do it? And my mother told me, don't take a back seat to anyone. So what Sanctum House does is it offers a solution. We're a 2-year program. We offer hope, just like the Jews as we celebrate Passover and the list of God's gracious acts that brought us out of Egypt, and that we believe that any one of them would have been enough. We received more. Sanctum House is offering physical care, not alone. We offer them more. Physical care alone would have been a huge difference. Many of these women come to us with no teeth. They haven't been to a doctor. They haven't been to a gynecologist in years. They haven't been to a dentist. They haven't been anywhere. We offer them psychological care, a psychiatrist, their own doctor. We have 35 different community organizations, hospitals, doctors, places that give us free pro bono care. We were just awarded money from the state of Michigan so that we can triple our capacity and have transitional housing. We give them emotional care. We give them their own social worker, their own program manager to help them plan out a life for themselves, one that they should have been able to have all along. We partner with schools, educations, they get their GED, they get job training, and of course, spirituality. We are non-denominational. Anybody can come to us, and we will help you go whatever path it is that you want, because you couldn't pick your nail polish color. Forget picking anything else. You were going to wear a red dress, and you were going to walk out there and let them say, well, I'll take number 3, and then get raped 8 times that night. That's what's happening every day in our world. These moments of grace that we give our women and our possibilities for grace for them to make choice. They can correlate to the Seder for Dayenu and the plagues that convinced Pharaoh to let the Israelites go. Each one alone would have been enough. Each possibility we give our women would be enough, yet we offer them more. We give them an opportunity to have a meaningful, successful, and independent lifestyle. That's one of our promises. None of us are free until we are all free. You don't have to do it all. Pick one thing. Call a congresswoman. Go take a woman to a doctor's appointment. We have a huge volunteer program, at our facilities. Just do something. Call your legislator. Get involved in the community. If we don't start where it starts, in racism and vulnerability and no money and poverty and the reasons these women and these children get involved in this to begin with, if we don't change our communities and our society, we will help one at a time, but we won't make a huge difference. So at the Seder table, I say this year, ask, why is this night not different than any other night? Because there are still millions of people enslaved around the world. And we are asked not only to remember, we are asked to put ourselves into the situation and experience it. Experience the Exodus. Experience the feeling of freedom. And remember that the miracles that were done for us to help us to become agents of freedom that can help us all help those that dwell in the dark and heinous world of human trafficking. Now that we know better, we can do better. You can go read, I have cards out on the table, you can read what Sanctum House does. But we can not only help individuals, we can address the roots of our society that create this enslavement of people through poverty, lack of education. We need equal opportunity for all. We need to remember about who we are. We are about truth, we are about justice, we are about freedom, and we are about dignity for all. I wish for all of you enough and a sweet Pesach.